Namaste, my friends. My name is Sherry Sutton, and I am your marketing mentor. So, today we're going to talk about how to close the deal like a boss, but without being a weirdo. My friend Melissa Snow, I was on her podcast recently, and she talks about this a lot, right? When it comes to building relationships, it's like, just don't be a weirdo. Like, don't be that person, right? And working on the research for this presentation, I was like, top ways to sell and just to kind of get some ideas going, right? And they were all so gross in many ways. Like, what do I need to tell you today in order to close this deal, right? Like all the things you need to do to keep somebody on the phone. So, if you want to sell like that, you should tune out now. My approach is much more friendly, personable, and it's all about the relationship first because I believe that people buy from people. So the more you can just be a human, having a conversation with another human about whether or not you can help them to solve some of their challenges, the better off you're going to be in your business. And so that's the approach you're going to see in this training today. Again, if you like kind of the sleazy, gross kind of sales tactics, now is the time to stop watching. All right. All right, let's put the slides up. You know me, I like having some slides. Let's come back to the first one. All right, how to close the sale like a boss without being a weirdo. All right. So, success is having a customer centered business. Being customer centered needs to be at the forefront of every single thing that you do, from your messaging to your visual branding to the places where you show up to the products that you offer. Being centered on your customers is the number one way to grow your business. I was writing an article this morning for a pretty well-known publication. I'm super excited. I'll share that with you later. But I was talking about how personal branding, one of the biggest mistakes people make when they personal brand is they think like it's all about them, but it's really not. You're just the vehicle to talk about how you can help other people. So you always want to do everything in your business and from beginning to end, this being the end, being the sales call, needs to be customer centric. Of course, it's not the end because then you have to actually like help the customer, right? Sell the product to them. But you get the idea. It's generally the end of the marketing and sales cycle. So this is a slide that I showed you in the last training. It talks about how do you be, is that proper English? How do you become customer centered? What are the things that you need to do? And in this, we're going to talk about understanding your customer. One of the first things you want to do before you go into any interaction or any marketing with your client is really understand where they're coming from and what they're all about. And you're going to see that when I'm talking here about how to close the sale. So, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what you should do in that final interaction, final before the sale interaction with your client. This can be a call, it can be a Zoom, it can be in person. I have to tell you, because I'm such a believer that people buy from people, especially obviously in service-based industries, which most of you guys are in, you want to try to do this with some sort of face involved, right? So Zoom, Google Meet, whatever it is, right? It doesn't have to be in person. I find phone calls to be an incredibly difficult way to really engage with someone and really understand where they're coming from because you don't have any nonverbal cues. And so I try to, as much as possible, meet with people, again, face to face, but it can be done virtually. So your mood on the call, and I'm just going to call it a call just because I think I'm old fashioned, like this phone that I have the picture of myself with, but the call, the interaction, whatever you want to call it. You first want, throughout the whole call, you want to seek to understand rather than to be understood. What many salespeople teach you is walk into the call. You are not going to give up. You are not going to leave without the sale. You are going to do whatever you need to do. You're ready with your objections. You're ready with your sales. Throw all of that out the window and just go in seeking first to understand your client, then to be understood, because a customer-centric business is the most successful type of a business. So you want to approach everything you do from understanding the customer's challenge, and that includes this. So have that be your mood. Spend a minute before you get on to whatever the interaction is, meeting in person, Zoom, whatever, and say, how can I be of maximum service to this person, right? How can I seek to understand rather than to be understood? And I promise you that will change the entire mood of your call. All right. So what do you want to say? People are always like, I don't know what to say, right? And people avoid sales calls. Again, could be Zoom. Because of this, right? Here's what to say. Ask questions and then actively listen. One of the things that people tend to do in sales calls is they'll just jump to like, let me tell you what I need, right? Let me tell you about my thing, right? And really, it's more of you asking questions. You are on a fact-finding mission to understand what their challenge is. So ask questions and then actively listen. I know it's hard to not instantly come up with an objection or to not instantly sell, right? Like, so, let's say you're a weight loss consultant. So, I've really struggled with my weight for a long time. It's hard not to jump in and go, oh yeah, well, my product will. Don't do that, right? Ask a question, then actively listen, right? Let them finish what they're saying. Let them feel seen and heard. I promise you that will do so much to convert those prospects into clients. Okay, what to say part 2? I like to say, what I hear you saying is this, right? You want to understand their challenge, what they're saying their challenge is. And then I like to tell them about how I've solved a similar challenge for other people. So let's go back to that weight loss example. So someone's just told you that they've struggled with their weight for 20 years. What you can say is, gosh, what I'm hearing you saying is, this has been a lifelong thing for you, right? Especially after you had your kids and especially after your second one, right? Gosh, think about how that feels, right? Now you've really understood what they're saying, right? So, you're reflecting back to them what they've said to you. So then you can say, I have another client who she just graduated. She lost 80 pounds that I've worked with. And she was in a very similar situation, right? She had 2 kids and blah, 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 right? So talk about an example of how you've done this, you solved that problem for another client, but do it by first saying, what I hear you say is this, right? Let them speak, then repeat kind of what they've said to check for understanding and to make sure that they feel seen and feel heard. And then you can go into an example of how you've solved that same challenge for another client. Okay. Generally by now, if you've done a good job of active listening, generally the call has gone pretty long, depending on who you're speaking with. But if you're really engaging in a good conversation, hopefully you're sort of reaching the end of the interaction. So there's 2 parts to the way that I handle the end of these interactions. So I like to ask 2 questions, which are not sort of the typical, like, what price point would you need to be at today to close this deal, right? Like, don't do that. I like to ask, so what excites you the most about the idea of us working together? Or even better, if you can say something specific. So that ties in with their challenge. Let's go back to the weight loss example. So I would say towards the end of the call, so I would love to work with you. I always ask for the deal, right? And I do that by saying, like, I would love to work with you. And then I would say, so what excites you the most about the idea of working together and losing, that 50 pounds that you've been carrying around your whole life? And then stop. And again, back to your active listening. Then the second thing I usually ask is, what makes you nervous about working together and losing that weight? This is where you're often going to find any objections to working with you. Now, if you go online and you Google objection handling, there are going to be, thousands of articles on it. Most of them are like pushing for the deal. What I like to do in this case is go back to here. right? What I hear you saying, so they say, you know what, I'm just nervous about the financial commitment. You know, we just bought a house, blah, blah, blah. You can just say, yeah, what I'm hearing you say is finances are a challenge. I totally understand, I totally understand that. I have payment plans, I have blah, 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 right? Figure out how do you tie back with, how they're going to feel after they've worked with you and how that's worth the money, right? Or you can be very tactical with here's the payment plans I have, or gosh, if you lost another 50 pounds, how much more would you be able to work, right? How much more would you be able to grow your business, right? If you had that type of energy back, or whatever it might be. But give them a chance to share their objections, share their fears. This is also a good time to understand some of the mindset challenges you may have. Every client working with you, if you're a service provider, generally comes in with some sort of mindset challenges. So this will be a good way to kind of help you understand what those are going to be down the road. From there, I don't like doing the whole let's make a deal right now. What do we need to do to close this thing? I think it's good to say, I would love to work with you. Do you have any final questions for me? Right? I think it's okay to say, if you really think they're ready, right? How would do you want to get started? Something like that. Sometimes that still feels kind of gross. And so I think it's okay to say, hey, I've loved talking with you. I would love to work with you. How would you like me to follow up with you? Right? Do you need a little bit of time? Are you ready to make the decision now? Like, what's best for you? I'm not going to push you into this. You have to make that decision on your own. And I just think having that, giving them space, making them feel heard. I have found the times where either someone has pushed me to make a decision right then and there. I generally won't buy, or I'll buy with a bias. And if you are, especially my coaches out there, if you are going to have a long-term relationship with someone after you close the deal, man, you do not want to start with a high pressure sales tactic. It's fine for used car salesman, because you drive off the lot, they ain't never going to see you again. But a service provider, you're going to be working with this person on an ongoing basis after this. So you want them to feel heard, you want them to feel seen, and you want to allow them to make whatever decision, as they need to in their own process. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't follow up and those types of things, but this is a very soft sales approach, which may not be for everyone. So I'm going to put that out there. A lot of sales experts are going to disagree with me, but I believe for a business that's customer centered, where you have the same philosophy that I do, that people buy from people, right? Where the founder is the center of the brand. I believe that this approach to sales is the right one to go with. But let me know what you guys think. So if you would like some help on your business development, sales, and marketing, I am here to help you. I have a one-on-one mentorship program. We start with like a boot camp where we put together your entire strategy, and then we continue to work together one-on-one to coach you through the process of growing your business. I also offer content co-creation sessions, whether you're one of my one-on-one clients, or you just want to come in and your strategy, you just need some help to make reels or to do some photography. This is my content co-creation studio. So would love to have you come by. I'm in McKinney, Texas. Though with my one-on-one clients, I work with people all over the world. I also do free trainings just like this every single Thursday. They are over at my YouTube channel. So go check it out, like and subscribe so you get updates on the latest. And so excited, I'm launching a podcast. So it is actually secret tip live today. I thought it wasn't going live until next week. So all my marketing says the 19th, and all my marketing is going to continue to say the 19th. But if you look for it today, it's actually live. It's super exciting. The audio version is on YouTube already. The video portion is going to go up hopefully later today. And it's already getting a ton of views. I'm so excited. The goal of this podcast is to tell the stories of entrepreneurs who've gone through some sort of a personal struggle and came out the other side with a renewed focus on authenticity and on service to help other people. And that's very much my story. I found my way back from addiction and really severe codependence by starting a business. And I found myself and my authenticity that way. And now I help other people to do the same thing. So I hope that you will listen. And let me know if you have any questions. I would love to work with you. Again, I do these trainings. It'll now be every other Thursday while I'm doing the podcast. The third positive podcast will come out every other week. And I might convert this to also being a podcast, these trainings. We'll see, kind of working through that strategy right now. But I would love to work with you. Please follow me on Instagram, follow my YouTube channel, or just reach out directly if you have any questions or you'd like to work one-on-one. I do offer just like one-time 90-minute sessions, right? If you just want to kind of walk through something really kind of quickly, or we can go through that month-long boot camp where we really put together all the aspects of your strategy, or continue to work together on an ongoing basis for coaching, training, and accountability. They have all done amazing things for the folks who've gone through them. So I hope that you have a fabulous day. Oh, one other thing. If you have any other ideas of things that you'd like me to do trainings on, please send them my way. My email is below, or you can DM me at any of the social places. Mwah. Thanks so much.